ever felt like you don't have a creative bone in your body? Because I believed that lie for years. But here's the truth. It's not that you're not creative. I spent decades believing I was the practical, logical one, the maths geek, but not a creative person, until one Sunday sermon turned everything I believed about myself upside down. Now I wake up and create without a little voice in my head telling me I'm doing it all wrong and that I'm not creative. Stay with me, because I think you're going to recognize yourself in my story. Growing up, I never considered myself to be creative. Give me a math problem and I was in my element, but ask me to draw, paint, or craft. Every art lesson was painful for me. Just showed me how inept I was. In fact, I got an exam score of 12% in my needlework test, and that pretty much summed up my feelings towards my own creativity. It was non-existent. I felt powerless to change things. So, of course, I focused on the subjects I was good at, like maths and statistics, and I pigeonholed myself as a left-brained analytic thinker. And what made it worse was that my sister aced all the art subjects. Creativity was for her, not for me. And I believed the lie. Creativity was for other people, the artistic types, the ones who excelled at school. And of course, life moved on, and I followed what seemed like a sensible path, got married, had children, and built a career using my analytical skills. And the years passed, and I just settled into being the practical, logical one. In any situation, I was the one and people came to for maths and spreadsheets, but not for anything creative. And I was okay with that, or at least I thought I was. But one Sunday, everything changed. Our preacher spoke about how we're all designed to create because we're made in God's image. And I was going, yeah. And it was just kind of going over the top of my head. And then he started to share examples of everyday creativity. And his words literally stopped me in my tracks, because the example he gave was about planning a vacation. He said, if you've ever planned a vacation, you are creative. And it was as if a light went on inside my head. And I realized that creativity was about so much more than art. It was about bringing new things into life. And I began to see creativity everywhere. For so long, I'd lived with the shame of not being a creative person in a society which celebrates creativity. But in that moment, I realized I'd been believing a lie, and there was so much more to creativity than I'd ever imagined. Because if I was made in the image of a creative God, then I must be creative, because the God who created the universe lived inside me. And that meant that creativity was in my very DNA. All I needed to do was allow that creativity to flow and express itself in whatever way he had created me to express it. And once my eyes had been opened to this truth, my life simply would never be the same. And of course, that realization that day was just the beginning. But once I started saying yes to creative opportunities, even when, and especially when I felt unqualified, I've since done so many incredible creative things. I've written books, made videos, designed t-shirts. Each time I've had to learn all those new skills from scratch, but it's been so much fun learning to embrace and express creativity in so many different forms. I've even learned to really love baking and get into that, because of course that is also creative. I've also created audiobooks, knitted scarves, made beeswax candles, and written a cookbook. And much to my surprise, I now have a successful YouTube channel. This is my second YouTube channel. In the last 11 years, I've loved exploring my creativity, and so has my bank balance, because I've earned about $250,000 in that time from my creativity alone. But that's not why I create, because every time I create, I sense God's pleasure and experience his presence in new ways. And I began to sense his leading and guiding each day, not just in creative things, but the small everyday things too. It seems that by opening myself up to creativity, that I've opened myself up to God in a new and different way. And I've discovered a deep joy and sense of purpose I really hadn't known before. And I've discovered that our creativity brings joy not just to us, but to other people and to God's heart too. And you know what? My journey isn't over. I continue to discover and explore the gift of creativity. This new YouTube channel is part of that exploration. I believe that the same creative potential lives inside you, because the same creative form created you. Your creativity won't look like mine, of course. That's the best and most amazing thing about it, because God's given each of us a unique voice, perspective, and gift to share with the world. Maybe you've believed the lie that you're not creative, or that exploring your creativity is a waste of time. If that's you, I'd love to invite you to take a step of faith and just start small. Here's some ideas for you. Sing in the shower. Why not? Plan a trip, bake a new recipe, write a story or a letter, make a photo collage, plant something, create a playlist, organize an event, start journaling your thoughts, or maybe, just maybe, take that first small step to the bigger idea you've been dreaming about that you've put on the shelf that's gathering dust. You know the one I'm talking about. Creativity isn't about the end product you create. It's almost an act of worship, because it's an invitation to bring more of God's light and joy to the world and into your life. As a child of God, you're full of creative potential, just waiting to be expressed. But it's to you to choose this journey. So I guess my question to you is, are you ready to trust God for something new and perhaps surprising, where you get to be in partnership with Him? Consider this your invitation to say yes to creativity and to step into a new adventure with God. Yes, it might feel scary, but I think on the other side, you'll be so glad that you stepped out in faith, because the God who created the universe promises He will be right there with you. I have absolutely loved this creative journey, and I'm still on it, saying yes to things that get scarier each time, but feeling God's pleasure with each step. And this YouTube channel, it's one of those scary things. It's a brand new venture, me stepping out in faith, just like I've been encouraging you to do. So if you found it helpful, I'd love it if you'd consider subscribing and joining me on this adventure. I'm hoping you'll say yes to creativity. I'd love to hear what it is you're dreaming of creating, or share what you've already created. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, please remember that wherever you are at in your story, God hasn't finished with your story yet.